Donnie Yen. We talked about Donnie Yen just last week. He got very mad at the makers of John Wick. Go figure. There's your John Wick mention right again. Because there was Asian stereotypes. He was going to be named Chang, and they changed his name to Kane, right? Was that what it was? To Kane?
Yeah, it was Chang or Shang or something like that, and he had a huge problem with it, so they had to change it to Kane.
Because he didn't like the Asian stereotypes. Well, now he has upset a bunch of other people because there is a 60,000 plus signature petition to get him ousted from his presenter role at the Oscars due to his connection to the Chinese Communist Party and his loyalty to the supreme leader, Xi Jinping.
Who could have guessed that the CCP sympathizer in Hollywood would want his wardrobe and name changed in an action movie so that he appears less Chinese? He's trying to hide that he is Chinese and that he has a certain agenda.
Most of his roles are still Hong Kong films.
He literally wanted his character to be completely westernized in both his name and his dress.
But he didn't grow up. He was born in China. He was raised. He spent his first 11 years near Hong Kong. Then he moved to Boston.
I was treated so much better in the Chinese entertainment industry, and when I came to Hollywood, they started, typecasting me and stereotyping me and wah. Recognizing that the Chinese entertainment industry is completely racially and culturally homogenized. Yep. And that's fine. Yep. We're not saying that there's a problem with that. But he wants to come over to the West and tell us how we're supposed to do diversity, right?
Yes, he is.
Middle fingers up, dude. Yep. I don't care.
I also love the idea that a man who doesn't like being stereotyped lists his mother's profession as kung fu master, which is maybe
literally. Could you be more Chinese, dude? It's ironic.
But he's apparently an extremely gifted martial artist, 6th-degree black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, holds multiple belts.
Don't F with him.
Yeah, don't mess with the dude. But apparently, don't upset him either because he's going to whine and complain and talk your ear off. Who needs to beat you up when he can just cry until you just give up and tap out?
He'll just do so many interviews.
He's not actually going to be mad. He's not going to beat you up. He's just going to whine until you finally just tap out.
He uses the weapon of the mass media against you rather than his fists.
And the other thing about it is okay, so this is a 60,000 signature group to get him removed from the Oscars as a presenter because of his pro-Chinese connections to the Chinese Communist Party. Look, if we're going to do this, Mary, we talk a lot about selective outrage. If you're going to get rid of all of the Chinese influence on Hollywood, you got a long way to go, my friend.
He was in Rogue One and Mulan as well. So he's, beloved at Disney, which just goes to show if a mega corporation from America like Disney, a hyper-capitalist one, of course, can get along just fine with the CCP, overlook the Uyghur concentration camps,
as in Mulan,
then really all of the differences between modern CCP communism and American westernized hypercapitalism, the differences are purely cosmetic.
Yep. I love it when
there's no actual difference between their interests. They work together.
Let's just talk about a few off the top of my head that I was just okay, if we were going to get rid of all of the Chinese influence, okay, Jackie Chan, he's got to go. He's a big CCP shill. He loves China. John Cena, ousted. You're gone. Just off the top of my head, Tencent Productions, the Hawaii Brothers, and what was the other? Oh, Shanghai Picture Group, right? So I was okay, those are the 3 studios that came to mind right off the top of my head. I was what are some movies that we would have to get rid of right off the top of my head? So Peppermint, 21 Bridges, Warcraft, The Free State of Jones, hundreds of movies. Wonder Woman got financing from China. Hundreds of movies would be gone because you think that you're going to get rid of the Chinese influence. It's never going away. Kong, Skull Island, Warcraft. Warcraft was funded by 2 Chinese companies. Moonfall, 2 Chinese companies.
And this is why
Bumblebee, Venom.
You're also never going to escape the controversy that comes from any casting actors or actresses who
Nope.
have anything remotely on their record saying things against the CCP. So like
Chloe Zhao, who got like
Chloe Zhao.
ousted from China, and then like they got no Chinese release for
Right.
the Eternals because she was dare like Simu Liu.
or how about Black Adam with Pierce Brosnan?
Yep. From like the 70s.
Having some tangentially relevant connection
To Tibet.
to Tibet
in the 70s or the 80s.
in like the 70s, right? Because he's ancient.
It was literally a black and white photo.
Like you're not going to escape these, blunders because it's about shared business interests. It's barely political.
And there's too much money to be made.
They're aligned. That's it. And any of the values that they claim to have about, reimagining tomorrow or whatever the hell they're trying to sell you on inclusion and acceptance and tolerance, they're saying tolerance because they're willing to tolerate the evils that are committed by a regime like the CCP.
Yep.
It's just, it's a fact. They don't have values other than that.
He's most known for Rogue One, which is like the only good new Star Wars movie there is, so that's too bad.
It was whatever, but
the most inoffensive of the new Star Wars movies.
yeah.
Rogue One. So look,
In terms of
is
the
there any?
reception.
There's no like Jackie Chan is still widely popular here, and he's very pro-China, and a lot of these people spoke out heavily during the 2019 Hong Kong protests. The one time in my life, like I had a shirt that said freedom for Hong Kong.
I wish that people could interpret like geopolitical conflicts in a way that's not made into like something like bite size and understandable for like Western liberals.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what the whole Hong Kong thing in 2019 was about, is like using Western liberals and their social media posts because they're ignorant of the actual situation.
Yeah. And for these production companies, look, it ends up being relevant to casting and how things get made in Hollywood. For instance, there is
budgeting.
And budgeting. But there's in the movie Moonfall, which I love because it's awful. It's so bad, it's good. There is an inexplicably placed like Mandarin speaking nanny that's would never have been in that movie if it wasn't for the fact that it was produced by China.
I know that Knock at the Cabin wouldn't get a Chinese release just because they're gay, right?
Probably.
The couple is gay.
Very
But
probably.
they also like were shown duping a Chinese adoption agency.
Oh yeah.
movie.
Then they're definitely not getting a Chinese
So
release
they probably knew that because the couple is gay, then they're able to also add that, right?
It's a bummer too, because that little girl was like her first interaction with Petition in that movie is like the one part I liked about that movie.
I mean, you definitely can't acknowledge the fact that China has like a huge problem of like abandoned children and like almost something similar to a caste system, because that girl she was in an adoption agency because she had a cleft lip, I believe.
Yeah. So here's the petition. I'm just going to read the petition that they put through. So it says, "We, a group of people from Hong Kong, are writing to express our concern about your decision to invite an actor who supports the Chinese Communist Party's violation of human rights. Donnie Yen is a presenter to the Oscars. As a global recognized film award, the Oscars should represent respect for human rights and moral values rather than support for actions that violate them." Well, Hollywood has never been one to both do what they say, to actually stand by their words. They're known to say one thing and do another.
That like the Oscars don't have moral values.
No, they do not.
The Academy doesn't have values at all.
No.
Other than what looks good for them. If they decide to change anything or ban anyone because of this petition, it's not because they have values. It's just because they believe that it's what is most wise to do in terms of public relations to Western people.
It says that he also he was very supportive of the implementation of the national security law in Hong Kong and accusing Hong Kong protesters of being rioters. back then, and they said that he's an unabashed supporter of Xi Jinping. It says that in 2017 he gave up his U.S. citizenship and reportedly said that he is 100% Chinese. I love, like, we are so inclusive. We are so inclusive here in America. This is one of the most infuriating things about it is it's literally a bunch of crybullies who come to the freest and most prosperous place in the world where you are accepted almost full. You come here and people are like, I don't like it here, and we're like, we'll take you anyway. We love you anyways, and somehow
like,
we're always the bad guys.
They say we don't like it here for this reason and that reason, and we're like, we agree with you.
And we're still the bad guys.
Right.
It's
every
infuriating.
Time. I mean, the audacity of someone like Donnie Yen to renounce any like citizenship here, but then also talk about like the ways that we're responsible for making him feel welcome and like he's just like one of us, when he's decidedly
not
separated himself. He's drawn a very clear line between his identity and ours.
Yep.
Why would you want to, you know, feel like you have assimilated when it's your explicit choice not to?
Yeah.
Why would we treat you like an American when we have explicitly decided not to be adopted into this culture?
We have an extreme culture of guilt and fear of being seen as anything less than perfectly welcoming, and that's turned America into a doormat.
Totally, yeah. I mean, I hate the self-flagellation that Hollywood already engages in.
Yep.
And he is using that cynically against them because, you know, obviously he doesn't actually care about inclusion, diversity, equity, blah, blah, blah. Because if he's praising China, then
they're not diverse, they're not inclusive, and they're not equitable.
Where is the racial diversity? Yep. Where's the representation for like LGBT people in their movies or entertainment? Or even like they like ban attire that is like deemed effeminate for men in their society. Like it's not
men are not allowed to be. They're not allowing men to be effeminate
system.
Anymore.
Yeah, like they just don't. And that's honestly what I'm saying is, like, from my perspective is like there are some things about that system that are preferable to ours. Yep. But don't try to dictate to us about how to best follow our rules.
You shouldn't even be allowed to make movies
lucky to
here.
even be able to make money off of this market. Yeah. You are not entitled to even be here.
we take like
to even work here.
We take the process of gaining citizenship in this country very seriously, meaning that like you have to pass a test that shows that you are in line with American values, right? Isn't giving up the citizenship, like the act of actively giving up the citizenship, a sign that you are going against our values in a lot of ways?
Well, it's not even just that he doesn't want to be a citizen. It's that like as a resident, just a temporary resident, he's going to raise as much of a fuss as possible while he's here.
He's going to cause as
just
much
so
division.
that we know how inferior we are.
And he's going to give as much, and he's going to cause as much division.
Cynically using our obsession with altruism against us, which we should be, you know, kind of brushing off anyway.
Yep.
But he's using that because he knows how Hollywood works.
Yep.
But he's not going to abide by those same guidelines himself. I'm just riffing here, but like, remember when Xi Jinping banned any comparison of him to Winnie the Pooh?
Winnie the Pooh, yep.
And now
they should make
Donnie Yen is like now like part of Disney in the cinematic universe of Disney, which has now put Winnie the Pooh into the public domain.
He should do his own version of...
I think not.
They should do their own version of Blood and Honey. They're starring Xi Jinping, where he's just Winnie the Pooh.
I mean, we still let him win in the end in
Blood
and Honey.
He definitely does not lose. That is for sure. So that
maybe that was actually just a geopolitical commentary.
That's him under the mask. That's Xi Jinping.
It was Xi the whole time.
Then who was it playing? Was the other one Eeyore? No, Eeyore's the one that dies at the beginning.
Eeyore was already dead at the beginning because they ate him. Piglet was already...
Piglet, yeah. Okay, no,
he was the sidekick.
Eeyore was the impetus for all of the problems because they had to eat Eeyore to survive.
Yeah. I saw this other quote, by the way, that I wanted to mention from Donnie Yen, where he says that he... In entertainment, in Hollywood, he wants to convey the spirit of China and the story of China to the world through action movies. So I would love to hear how he is planning to do that with his part in John Wick 4.
Also, how is that not how is that not some type of stereotype?
It doesn't seem like it's very consistent with his supposed desire to, not be typecasted as a typical Chinese guy named Shang or whatever.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.